All right, our good friend Joey Kenward, Canucks reporter, Sportsnet 650 Vancouver, joins us, Canucks TV from the left coast. And we got the Silver Fox here. It's a special day, Joey. How you doing, man?
Bonjour, comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci.
That's right.
Come on, Tapel, too.
You didn't know?
Yeah,
that's three
good,
languages. I can swear, too. Joey, I know your mind's racing. Listen, before we get into the real fun stuff.
It's doing a lot more than that, but that's fine. Go ahead.
I know. Massive game tonight at Rogers Arena. Vancouver Canucks, Calgary Flames. Two teams trying to get into these Scotia North playoffs. Is this a playoff game tonight in Vancouver between these two?
I think both teams certainly want to see it that way. Whether either team gets to the playoffs or not in just over a month's time, time's going to tell. They've dug themselves two pretty deep holes here over the last number of weeks, and they've got the identical record when they face each other tonight here in Vancouver. It's a biggie, but first and foremost, no matter how high a mountain that is to climb for either the Canucks or Flames, you've got to start it with tonight. Canucks are coming off their bye week. Flames are coming off a frustrating game the other night at home. So I would expect two pretty determined teams going head-to-head this evening here on the West Coast.
You know, with the Flames, I mean, they're closer to us geographically, so we've been following very closely what they're doing, languishing around 500 since Darryl took over. But we can all agree a massive disappointment from what we expected. I got to think the same's being said for the Canucks. Since we've last talked, and I see there's talking about an extension now for Thatcher Demko, he's not the reason they're out of a playoff spot right now, Joey, but what is the reason?
Well, they had a February to forget when they only won 2 games that month. It was a collective effort as to why they spiraled backwards in a real hurry. They couldn't score, they couldn't defend, they couldn't capitalize on special teams, and they also started to lose some key players in their lineup. Calendar turned into March. Thatcher Demko started to stand on his head, is well-deservingly getting some talk of possible Vezina Trophy voting. I don't think he'd win it, but he's certainly going to get some votes for Goalie of the Year honors. And even if they did hit a few speed bumps along the way prior to their break last week in back-to-back home losses to Winnipeg, they've played a pretty good all-around team game. And most importantly, they've found a way to win close games. When they were in the first 7 weeks of the season, when they were winning big, like putting up minimum 4 goals a game. But when they were losing big, giving up minimum 4 or 5 goals a game. Now, all of a sudden, they're playing important hockey. They're finding ways to win those close games, and that's really what I think we're going to see league-wide now, not just in the Canadian division, league-wide. You're not going to see a lot of blowouts from here on out, I don't think, with regularity, like we saw maybe in the first month and a half this season. To your question, are people here disappointed? For sure, particularly prior to this season. The last time they saw the Canucks was making it into the Western Conference semifinals last year in the bubble in Edmonton. So there's whether they were reasonable or unreasonable, expectations were high for this team to start this year for many. They haven't been able to meet those expectations, and that's why they find themselves where they are in the standings going into tonight's game.
Joey, in saying that, though, I think, because I know you're immersed in it, right? Just like a guy like Labardius is immersed in it in Calgary. You live there every day, so you hear nothing about Canucks. He's hearing Flames. The guys in Edmonton, Stauffer, it's all Oilers. But as a guy that's not in any of the markets that kind of hears all the noise, my perception would be that there wasn't really a whole lot of noise out there before the season started that the Canucks were a shoo-in to make the playoffs anyway. But I do think that everybody can't believe in Calgary that this team is as bad and inconsistent and just as poor as what they've been. Don't you think that there is a little bit of difference in terms of how the public perception is for the underachieving Flames as opposed to the Canucks?
Oh, for sure. And by the way, you can also put the Montreal Canadiens into that conversation as well. Yeah. No owner in the league allowed their general manager to back up the Brinks truck and pay through the nose like the Molson family did with Mark Bergevin this past offseason to spend to the hilt. And they, although playing better lately, they weren't far out of the same situation the Flames are in right now. So there's, what comes with expectations. You've got to be able to deliver. And some key players, particularly in Calgary's case, the last little while, prior to and after the coaching change, just have not been able to be the players Flames fans and many around the league expect them to be. Johnny Gaudreau has taken a lot of heat there. Now, that's saying a lot for a player that's near a point per game player this season, but he certainly sounds like he's got plenty more to give here if this team wants to get back into the race. Goalie Jacob Markstrom was lights out to start the season for Calgary. And I'm not putting it all on him, but I think in his last 13 starts, he's got 4 wins. And in those 13 games, he's been given the hook 3 times. Not what people were expecting out of a goalie who was in Vezina Trophy consideration last year inside that mammoth long-term deal to play in Cowtown. So, they are a team that has underachieved, that has disappointed. But if for whatever reason they can, and I don't see signs of it right now, but if that group can get it together here into the month of April, they're going to fight. They're going to fight right to the bitter end. But it has to start with tonight, and they haven't shown a lot of good signs lately of looking like there's positive hockey ahead for them. But you never know. That all starts with one game tonight, I guess.
6 years, $36 million. And as you know, and the base this year is $4 million. Do you think the Flames are rethinking that, Joey? I mean,
no.
You know goalies, you watched them up and two. Is he worth that?
Well, is there any goalie right now in the league that's worth that much money per season on that term? It's going to be a while. He was the best goalie out there on the market last year. And by all accounts, there was a bidding war between the 2 Alberta teams, and Calgary won that bidding war. By the way, I want to preface this. I haven't seen every game that Calgary's played. I'm not hanging where they are in the standings or their recent record since a coaching change on Jacob Markstrom. That has been a collective effort for the Flames as to why they are in the standings right now. But this is a goalie that last year in Vancouver won a lot of games for his team, played a lot of hockey, hasn't been able to deliver the same way for his new team to this point this season. Now, we'll see if he gets the start against the Canucks tonight. He's got good numbers already in the few games that he's played against Vancouver. 4 starts, 1 shutout. But the last time he played Vancouver, that really was one of the, sounds like, turning points as to where his game kind of got off the rails a little bit when he kind of tried to, ruin the 3-4-6 double play, sliding out to the blue line to take out Tanner Pearson on a partial breakaway. It's he's a good goalie. Is he worth that much? Maybe, maybe not. Is any goalie right now in the league worth that much when we're talking about term and dollars per season? I don't know. Key, though, is if this team's going to get back into the race, he will be a big part of it. I don't think there's any doubt in that. And I say that not knowing if he'll even start tonight.
Exactly. I'm looking at this. 12 wins for Jacob Markstrom. That's 15th in the National Hockey League. Number 1, Vasilevsky. Number 2, Grubauer. Number 3, the Flower. Number 4, Connor Hellebuck. But he's way, way down the list and a save percentage of .902. Let me ask you this, because you know that Jim Benning wanted to hold on to Jacob Markstrom, obviously. Had he, do you think the Canucks would be in the bind they're in right now, standings, record-wise?
Hey, they've got the same record with Thatcher Demko, who's the same total of wins.
Yeah.
So think of it that way. Now, Thatcher Demko has been the best player for the Vancouver Canucks this season, just like Jacob Markstrom was the MVP for this team the last 2 seasons he was playing here on the West Coast. That's good for the goalies. That means, though, that they're getting those kind of honors by bailing the team in front of them out probably more often than they want. Thatcher Demko is the goalie of the future for this organization, pending restricted free agent at the end of this season. There's been talk that the Canucks and his team have been in discussions the last little while, possibly trying to figure out a deal. But I don't know if there's. It's easy to say right now, looking where they've done what they've done this season. Did the Canucks make the right decision by not keeping Markstrom? Would they have liked to keep him if the term and dollars could have been better? I think that's all kind of in the rearview mirror now. Markstrom's the goalie of the future and the present for the Flames. Demko is the starter right now and looks to be the starter long term here on the West Coast. And I'll see if they even play head-to-head tonight. We don't even know. I know we haven't gotten to it yet. We don't even know if this game's going to play tonight. Canucks actually are on the ice for morning skate as we speak, but one player has been with a confirmed COVID positive case, and that's forward Adam Gaudette. So maybe we'll know by the time this interview's up whether that game is a go or not. So stay tuned. But if they do play, it's sure to be a fun one.
Yeah. Rems has one more for you.
Well, I just think, sometimes we talk a lot about when guys sign these big contracts and how it sort of changes their psyche, but Kenward's proof that you can sign an extension for multi-million-dollar contracts. It hasn't changed your game.
He actually looks better.
I mean, you've never been more at the top of your game since you got all those zeros on your last contract. So I don't see the problem here.
You're right. There is no problem. I haven't. You're telling me I look better than what I did the last time I saw you face to face. Look, I haven't shaved in a month. Okay, it's
your work has never been better
out here on the West Coast. The sun is shining here on the West Coast. Hockey's back in full swing across Canada. It's back in full swing here in BC. I know you guys talk a lot about Connor Bedard and company, and rightly so, in the bubble in the hub in Regina. But the Western Hockey League is back up and running here in British Columbia, and that's a good sign. So as we flip the calendar from 1 month to the next, here's hoping both on and off the ice things get a whole lot better for everybody here as we roll along through the spring.
Absolutely, Joey, and nice to have some chuckles here, by the way. And I do miss seeing you in the arena. Man, we had some great visits, didn't we, when the Pats and Broncos got together? Good times. But I'll leave it with this. You brought this up with Bedard, and this won't shock you, Kelly. My phone's blowing up with a lot of BC hockey people, hockey guys that played for the Pats or the PA Raiders, coaches. They're just like, they say Bedard's like a mythical creature in BC, like Ogopogo. Everybody knows about him. He came up through BC minor hockey. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So
Look at your buddy Kevin Gallant.
Well,
he
Kevin
tweets
Gallant,
every day he's on there.
Shane Zeleniak is one, former captain of the PA Raiders. You'd remember Zinger. Joey's. Do you remember him? He's in Kamloops now, but they're just like, how's he doing? We've been following him. He played against our kids. Like, Bedard's a pretty big deal in BC. Can you talk about that?
Well, I mean, first of all, the league has never had a 15-year-old lead in scoring like Connor is right now. Now, they haven't had a lot of 15-year-olds play, but let's be honest. If they are, it's usually in a call-up affiliated player role, not as a full-time regular WHLer. I don't throw this term out a lot when talking about junior hockey players, but I certainly do in his case. Connor Bedard is a special player. That's a special player. When you talk to scouts, when they throw that term around, that's about as high praise as you can get no matter what position they're playing. He ripped it up stats-wise playing minor hockey over the years in North Vancouver. Has made the transition from minor to major junior look relatively seamless. Does he have a long way to go? Absolutely. But boy, oh boy, I can't wait for whenever it is, not only for fans in Regina, but fans around the Western Hockey League, when we're in the clear and people are allowed to walk through the turnstiles to get into any WHL rink on either side of the border. And when Connor Bedard is playing on the ice that night, boy, the building should be packed to the rafters, because who knows how often we're going to get a chance to watch that guy live in person before he's a full-time NHLer.
Couple more years, that's it. I think surefire number 1 overall pick and gone after he's 17. Joey, always great. I appreciate it, man. Enjoy the game tonight if there is one, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Sounds good. And by the way, just to make you guys feel a little bit...
Don't spend all that money in one place.
I don't
Go
have
ahead,
it.
Joey.
By the way, Kelly, you've got a lot of gray hair.
Yes, silver.
This is going to make you feel older. I mean, this is going to make you feel really old as a hockey fan. Pavel Bure, the Russian Rocket, turns 50 years old today.
What?
He's 50.
Oh, my God.
Think about that as you go to break.
Well, I remember at the World Junior in Saskatoon, and it makes sense because we were about the same age.
Right. He's has he got silver hair? I don't know. I'm sure he's still got the Jets. Thanks, Joey.
Thanks, guys. Have a great show. Good to see you.
The great Joey Kenward joining us from the left coast.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.